All right, we're going. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're on our lunch break at Tech Alley. We had a great round of morning talks. We actually recorded a podcast with the founder of Tech Alley, Josh Levitt, a little earlier. You guys will get to see that on our channel in a couple of weeks once we get that edited. But we have had a great time getting to know people, getting to meet people here at Tech Alley today. And we're excited to bring you everything we can bring you and talk to some of the people who are here today. Come on in and have a seat and get yourself comfortable, and then tell us all about yourself. And you are a founder, correct?
I am.
So your name, what's your name?
Martin.
Martin. And what's your company?
It's I call it PV Charge Me.
Okay.
And it's a company that is going to build PV powered EV charging stations.
Okay. And what are you, early stage? What kind of
Very
stage?
early stage. So
Okay.
we have the first project in the make right now. So we are acquiring land that we can then build on. And I'm here for financing.
Okay, so you're looking for funding while you're here. And a couple of questions about your project. So when you say you're looking for land for building, are you to build a factory? Are you looking for the places to put the charging stations?
The charging station, that's correct.
And what's the strategy for the charging stations?
It's built along highways where there's the most need. We have an avalanche of EVs coming in the market pretty soon, I think, and we'll be ready for them when they come.
Okay.
And the need for high-powered chargers is high.
Absolutely,
there's a high demand, and
I mean the demand is high now. So
there's a very pressing need for those charging stations right now.
Are these your own design for the charging stations?
Yes, in part. So we don't need to. We can use off-the-shelf components.
Okay.
For the most part, and we can partner with other charger suppliers. And this is an open call to the industry. If you do want to be part of this, let me know.
Okay, very cool. Anything else you want us to know? What's the name of your company again?
PV Charge Me.
PV Charge Me. And are you guys?
PV stands for photovoltaics.
Okay. And are you guys located here in Las Vegas?
Oh, we are.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. Look up PV Charge Me. We would love to have you connect with Martin if you're an investor or you're a strategic partner for Martin, or you have land where he can put some chargers. Please check him out.
And you can text me at 702-680-8523.
All right, great. All right, thank you, Martin. All right, well, check out Martin. Check out PV Charge. It sounds really exciting. We all know that there's a lot of need for chargers in the market. Even in the Southwest here, there's a ton of folks who are looking to charge their vehicles, and not a lot of places to charge them. So this is great. So thank you for signing that release, Kurt. I know you signed a bunch of those in your day. Now we're going to talk with Kurt Walker. Kurt Walker. Every Tech Alley answers the question, "Where's my money?" And that's right. We needed to talk on that today. Kurt, tell us a little about yourself, and then we'll get into some of the highlights of your talk this morning.
I'm a reformed VC, an investor. I like to build companies, and I like to find the future innovators of the world and invest in them. We're also deeply committed to building the Vegas venture ecosystem. And so we've put together a grouping of capital technology to automate the fundraising process, which we're always advancing towards. A combination of Venture House, which is a series of 10 and 20 bedroom properties that we use for our own events that we'll have in cities across the country. And that becomes our own venue space to basically do events around our communities for small business. We have a 24/7 founder community filled full of founders. There's 1,000 currently in the WhatsApp group. We're moving over to Telegram soon, where we teach GTM, go-to-market strategies, and fundraising fluency. What do you need to understand to fundraise? We teach sessions on Tuesdays around that. And then every Thursday, every single week, we do Pitch Kung Fu with experts and investors. And the
Pitch Kung Fu is online.
Yeah, all of that's online. And then, of course, we do in-person pitch events on the Strip at our content studio on the Strip.
Yeah.
And then the last bucket is this kind of content machine that I've been working towards building in a media company. And all this is to the final aim and goal of creating founders that become funders.
I was
Call
going
them
to ask
founder
you about
funders.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just obsessed with helping founders to graduate and getting tons of resources into their ventures, and those that want to exit, they're able to exit so they can play the game again and do more investment.
Awesome. So I know your talk is always about who's got my money and how founders can go find that capital. Everyone says access to capital is hard, but you have a different take on it.
Yeah. Well, there's infinite capital out there. So who's got my money is really all about all the aspects that go into how do investors think? What does capital stack look like? What does capital sequence look like? What do you need to know to be, capital fluent? How do you know when to play which capital card? What's required from you as a founder, just as a human being, to level up. Today's session was really focused around the ideas of what makes you fundable, what makes you backable, and what makes you bankable. And those three things are three very different things, and most people really don't know the difference. And so we like to create distinctions where people can understand this from that. So an example is most people are chasing after 3% of the available capital out there from VCs and angels. VCs and angels are amazing, but they only represent 3%. So it's just not, a founder chasing after that does not know the spectrum of available options in the capital rainbow spectrum of light. And so that can really hurt them. They also don't realize the level of preparation and talking to 100 clients first and all the things that you have to do in order to be fundable. So we covered those in our Tuesday sessions, where we break down GTM, go to market, go to fundraise, go to community, 100 client conversations. We talk about money raising.
Clients, doing that market research, asking 100 clients.
Can't skip it.
And you can't skip it. And one of the things, and you taught me this, but it's really, investors know. If someone has been, when they come pitch you, they can have the slickest pitch in the world, and if they haven't talked to those 100 clients. So how do you know?
So part of it's just time and market. I've seen 17,000 pitches. I've run, 500 events for founders and funders the last 5 years alone. And I've been doing capital in some form or another for 20 years. And so the reason we do the 2-minute, no slides, no deck pitch is because there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. You've either done the homework and you know your stuff, or you don't. And in that 2 minutes, you've got to cover, and you've got to cover everything, and you need to captivate. You need to get an investor to say, tell me more.
Yep.
Let's do lunch. Let's do dinner. Let's talk. Let me introduce you to somebody, right? And also, if you're really fluent in that way, then you can be very fluid when you're on an elevator. I want founders that can pitch anytime, anywhere, any place to anyone. I want super dangerous founders that are able to do that.
Love it.
And know when to build a relationship to potentially, have them open up their network. Maybe they're willing to write you a sponsored capital check, which, is a form of raised revenue. Sponsored capital is not for interest in the company. There's no loan. There's no equity. They're doing it because of an aligned outcome that they're interested in. And these checks usually start at a couple $100,000 and they go up to several million on up. Most founders have never even heard about this before. They don't know where to get them from. They don't know how to do capital discovery. And these things are important. You don't just go hit up somebody and ask them for this. You have to work your way into the relationship by finding an aligned outcome they're willing to write a check for.
Building relationships. And that is part of that capital that's outside that 3% of the total capital available to VC
absolutely.
Funding. So,
right.
So next month, if you're in Vegas, or if you're going to be in Vegas, third Saturday of the month, come down, see Kurt Walker and Sammy's Who's Got My Money talk.
That's right.
Learn all about the kinds of capital you can get where you do not have to give up equity in your company,
right,
if you're a founder. So you want to run through those 5 real quick?
Yeah. I mean, if you're lost and don't know where to start with capital, the 2 things I would recommend is, first, join the Fusion community that's fusing relationships and resources with launching and building their companies. We have a Telegram channel with 1,000 founders in there. We also have these sessions we do every single week in multiple regions around the world. The 5 things you wanted me to answer were?
Tell me about the kinds of capital.
Oh, okay.
3% is that VC capital. What's the other 97?
Yeah. The other thing I was going to recommend is I have featured articles on my LinkedIn that really start to dive in deep on this stuff. So it's just Kurt Walker. There's a little chili pepper next to my name. Yep. Easy to find. Go read those featured articles. Okay, so there's capital macros, there's capital categories, and there's capital types. So capital macros would be dollar capital, which is anytime you're bringing in any form of dollar capital into your venture. There's sales and client capital. That's anytime you're acquiring users for your company. And there's human capital. These are the 3 capital macros. These are the things that are critical in the success of a business, and you're not going to do well without them. Founders very often make the mistake of thinking that dollar capital is the only thing that matters. It's not. I would actually say your human capital matters the most. So starting with the way that you operate yourselves as a founder. Capital types, capital categories. Capital categories would be, these are the 4 major archetypes of capital that are out there. You have public and gov funds, anything that started as taxpayer money. You have all the different types of debt. You have equity, which is when you're exchanging shares in your company for dollars into the company, and they're effectively becoming your partner. And then last but not least, the one I alluded to earlier is raised revenue. This is when you get significant chunks of cash that come in that are not for equity and not for interest in the company. And this is where you got to find a sponsored capital check writer that finds some aligned outcome. Yep. And you have to do capital discovery to figure that out. I mentioned that twice in our little chat. And then the last thing I would mention is each of these 4 break down into 60 plus different capital types.
Yep.
Capital stack is, what capital am I going to put into my venture now? How many investors and what capital types? And then capital sequence is, what are the relationships and resources over time that I'm going to stack into my venture? No one investor is going to save your company. So you have to understand that this is how the big boys and girls do it. They understand how to rig the game for their venture, which is the reason why my podcast is called Rigged. I believe the game of capital is rigged.
All right. Well, check out Kurt's podcast, Rigged. Learn how to rig the game for yourself. If you're going to be in Vegas, coming down to Tech Alley next month and catch the Who's Got My Money talk, catch Kurt on LinkedIn. He puts a lot of great stuff out on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us today, Kurt.
All right. Thanks,
Enjoy
buddy.
the rest of Tech Alley.
And we love vets.
Thank you. Who's next? Hi, Faye. Have a seat. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us all about you and tell us about your company, because you are a sponsor of Tech Alley.
Sure. I am here as a representative for Morning Mate. My name is Faye Ray. I am a marketing assistant. Morning Mate is a Korean company. They're the #1 work management and collaboration platform in South Korea. And they're doing a global expansion. So I'm here in the United States, and I'm located locally in Las Vegas. And we're trying to get our finger on the pulse for the startup scene around Las Vegas. So we found our way to Tech Alley, and here I am.
Is this your first time at Tech Alley?
This is my first time at Alley. I wasn't able to make the last couple of them, but I was finally able to make it, and I'm not disappointed.
Are you making some good connections today?
Well, I'm meeting a lot of interesting people and learning a lot about what people are doing for business and what they need, which I think is pretty important, because Morning Mate is trying to solve actual problems. They're not trying to get a bunch of signups just to show the shareholders that we're getting signups. And we're trying to make work management and collaboration more simple for businesses and nonprofits, and really any group of people that are coming together for a common purpose.
Okay. So how do you do that? How do you make it more simple?
So our platform, first of all, can be used on your browser or downloaded to any of your mobile devices for our cloud-based software. Or if you're enterprise level or have security, privacy, data concerns, we can install our software and integrate it with existing software programs on private servers. So to make things easier for users, the user interface of the platform is reminiscent of a social media feed. So you create your workspace, you have that designated space, whether it's for a specific project you're trying to complete, maybe you want a community space for people to interact within your company, and all of the work management tools that you need are posted chronologically on a feed so that you have the complete history of everyone who's read, commented, posted, touched on that project in that workspace. And the social media element of it makes it a lot more familiar. And we try to keep it simple so that there's plenty of room for individual work styles, how different teams like to work together, and easy enough for people to use, even if they have no technological background or are typically challenged by new technologies and adopting new technologies.
It sounds like you're combining a lot of different ways of viewing things, or new ways of viewing things in terms of project management. Because I remember using old project management software, and it was a drag, and it was complicated. It sounds like you've kind of simplified this and put it in a way that people are more used to seeing maybe is a little more intuitive.
Sure, we definitely want it to be more intuitive. And the thing is, the tools at the end of the day, no matter what type of management platform you settle on, the tools are going to be more or less the same with some variation. But it's all about how we use the tools, how we put them together. And so with Morning Mate, it's simple enough that you can mix and match how you use the tools, choose how you use the tools as a team, as an organization, at different levels of the organization. But it's powerful enough that you don't have to combine a ton of different apps in order to accomplish scheduling of events, listing tasks, assigning tasks, following up on projects, even presenting to clients. Because with Morning Mate, it's really easy to invite external collaborators or external clients to view all of the work that your team has been doing all in one place. So we are trying to blend simplicity with powerful tools and present it in a way that is not overwhelming for people to adopt and really get the most out of.
I love it. I love keeping it simple. And it sounds like it's great for small businesses, startups who have projects they want to manage, all the way up to big company enterprise systems.
Definitely. Some of our largest clients in South Korea include Samsung, Hyundai, Seoul University. So definitely available at the larger scale, but as few as 2 or 3 people who have a desire to collaborate together or have a lot of moving parts they need to keep track of can benefit from Morning Mate. And we have both a free version that's available always, and then a paid version that has a little bit more power behind it, and new users get 2 weeks free automatically to try it out.
Love it. So where can everyone find you, and where can everyone find Morning Mate?
So my name is Faye Ray. I am roaming about Las Vegas typically. I don't have much presence online at this time. I do have a LinkedIn, but Morning Mate is available at morningmate.com, and we are downloadable on all mobile devices.
Great. Well, we will definitely find you on LinkedIn, and we will share that out there with our audience here. But thank you for joining us today. I had never heard of Morning Mate before the announcements this morning, so it's great to have you here at Tech Alley, and we hope we'll see you here again in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and it's been a delight to be part of Tech Alley through sponsorship, and yeah, definitely hope to be back again.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thank
Faye.
you. Have a nice day.
You too. All right, we got to meet really briefly before. I don't remember if I caught your name. I'm Jason.
Andrew Prowl, yes.
Andrew, well, tell us all about you and what brings you to Tech Alley today, and what you're offering.
All right, so I'm Andrew Prowl with Convergence. What we do is, well, every business out there needs customers, right? We figured out how to remove customer acquisition costs from consumer games, which is the majority of a consumer games budget. Like Machine Zone spent $200,000 to build a cell phone game. They spent $44 million to make it one of the top sellers. And we can take video game items from that game and bring them players. Okay, so that's phase one of what we do. Then once we get a critical mass of players in a community like Las Vegas, then we go to phase two, and we can drive them to retail locations and reduce their customer acquisition costs as well. Because we have this augmented reality app called Sarah, Silicon Nexus augmented reality app. It's like Pokemon Go, only with a purpose. So they're still getting the video game items as the incentives. We've got this big group of people in our platform that trade around these items, so we can incentivize them to go on quests in the game and end up at locations on demand, basically. So Pokemon actually did this with McDonald's years ago, and it was so successful it shut down those McDonald's, so they canceled the program because they had no way of throttling the amount of people there. Like literally, people couldn't get through the drive-through to buy food.
Because people were playing Pokemon.
Because people were playing Pokemon.
So you figured this out.
Well, we use normal game quests. And for all the gamers out there, they fully understand a game quest, and we can put into queues how many people. If they want 20 people every 20 minutes to come through the door, we'll send them 20 people. If they want 100 people every 20,
you throttle it.
We throttle it based on what the manager of the location requests.
So because you guys understand multi-user, multiplayer games, you understand the bandwidth restrictions. So you are coming in with a different kind of experience, but you can put the number of people on time on target without overwhelming it or underwhelming it.
Well, yeah, if they can handle whatever they say they can handle, we'll send them that.
Awesome.
So that's
awesome.
And that's our phase two, but that's what we're doing. It's the Silicon Nexus platform. We're getting ready to roll out the first kiosks in the next 90 days. Into arcades. The way we do it is we let We put in those kiosks down there. They're digital vending machines. They vend video game items.
Okay.
And we have them in the arcades trade their prize tickets for prices that don't suck video game items.
Okay.
Okay. And that gets us a condensed amount of players in an area. And then once we break about 100,000 in a particular town, then we can turn on Sarah and drive them to anywhere they want to go.
Are you guys Las Vegas based?
Yes, we are Las Vegas based.
How long have you been in business here?
We have been in business in Las Vegas for a year. We've been building this project since 2015.
Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, great. How do you like Vegas?
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's got a great up and coming startup ecosystem, much better than Kentucky.
You know, we don't hear our ecosystem is better than a lot of places, but we'll take the compliment. But we're trying and we're growing, and it's folks like you who are making it happen. So thank you for being here. Who's an ideal customer for you? You know, we talked about McDonald's and the Pokemon case, but who's an ideal customer for you for that Sarah?
For Sarah
for that Sarah technology.
Any business that like McDonald's would be, Burger King would be, but any mom and pop business that wants more customers. I mean, typically they have peak hours. You don't need anybody else there, but then they've got the same staff for all the rest of the hours, which is like 80% of the time they're open. So anybody that needs customers, we'll get them customers.
I think that'd be great. I don't know how familiar you are with Vegas. You've been here about a year. Right on the other side of Charleston Boulevard there's a bunch of mom and pop little bars and restaurants, and you know it's downtown Las Vegas, but there's still up and down times. And
absolutely.
I think downtown Las Vegas, especially here in the Arts District, could be great for you.
Excellent. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was great to meet you.
Take care.
Have a good one. Well, look who just crossed my threshold.
Hey, Jason.
Darkened my doorstep.
How's it going?
Good to see you. Welcome back, fan favorite
Good
Mike
to
Andrews.
see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me up here.
So thank you for joining us today on our first live stream, live from Tech Alley. We're trying to let the world know Tech Alley's here, and you know we've always had a great turnout at Tech Alley, but we're trying to show more of the world the great things that are happening here at Tech Alley. So how have you been? How's Yastis?
Oh, been awesome. Enjoying Tech Alley here. As I do try to show up here every month. Been doing that for about two years now, maybe two and a half.
One of the OGs.
One of the OGs. Always good to be in OG status, but we're doing pretty well at Yastis. We're in the process of hiring a new business development lead. Build out the team, a little formalized process so I can focus on other things.
And you're offering some new offerings. I don't know if I'd call them certifications or programs, but you're offering some new offerings that you that are relatively new.
Yeah, so we have a new partnership with a highly respected DevSecOps company called Deploy 360s. DevSecOps, that's essentially just security during the development process, because a lot of companies have developed something cool, put it out there, and then realize that it's not, it wasn't developed using secure practices. And our partnership is geared to offer SOC 2 and FedRAMP preparation help. So SOC 2 is for any company that wants to show that they take cybersecurity seriously. A lot of bigger companies want to see that a startup has gone through that, for example, before they do business with them, like say a bank, for example, that has a big compliance team. They might say, show us your SOC 2 report. And then FedRAMP, that is kind of the same thing, but that's more if you want to do business with the federal government and you're a cloud company or like a cloud platform, kind of like AWS. So they've gone through the process years back, and that's what we're looking to help companies do. We think we can make it a lot easier for them.
So with the federal certification, that's obvious. And, you know, companies know whether they're trying to do work with the federal government or not. Yeah. Who's someone who might need SOC 2 that maybe doesn't know they need SOC 2 yet?
Well, the main types of companies that go through it are SaaS companies. But if you're a company and your business relies on working with the sensitive data of individuals or other businesses, and you hold that within your system, you're a good candidate for SOC 2, because it's one of the main ways that companies are proving that they take stuff seriously, right? Like another way that some companies do it, they might send out a checklist with 50 or 100 or sometimes hundreds of items and say, give us the answers to these questions about your cybersecurity, and we'll evaluate it. And it's just very cumbersome. And by saying your SOC 2, it shows a certain level of understanding that, okay, they have that report, so they must be pretty good to go, and we could probably trust that for the most part.
So much like startups who have learned to pre-address the questions they think investors are going to ask, this is the same thing for doing business with a company. If you are dealing with sensitive, actually any customer data now or any company data, it's all sensitive now, right? So
yeah, this has been around for a while, and it's good because companies know they can make more money if they do it, right? You might be a SaaS company, you have a cool platform, but without that SOC 2 or the equivalent, you might be stuck dealing with the smaller companies that are only buying 10 licenses, whereas a company like a bank or a bigger tech company like Microsoft probably wouldn't do business with you without that SOC 2 or the equivalent. And it's also helpful to have that, because say you're about to land a big client and they send you 20 like a 5-10 page 20-page checklist of questions, and it takes you like a month or two to get back to them.
Yeah, forget it. You're already done. They've hired somebody else.
Well, that, and they're going to know you're probably lacking in cybersecurity, or else you would have had it done quicker.
Right.
You would have had those answers ready to go and just filled it in and returned it.
All right. So how does your program? Is this an online thing they do? Is it what? How do you help them get the SOC 2 certification?
So essentially, we handle as much of the process as possible, and that includes documentation, performing a risk assessment of where they are today, helping them get to where they need to be to pass a SOC 2 audit, and we even have a pre-approved list of the audit firms, which are CPA firms, accountants. That way, they don't have to deal with that. They don't have to go making a bunch of phone calls and asking for prices, asking for timelines. Like, we do that work. So when a client is ready to go and get their SOC 2, we're going to have most of those answers ready for them, and those templates ready for them. We're going to know what needs to be done, and we're going to do as much of it for them as possible so they can focus on other priorities.
Right. So you're going to handle the nuts and bolts and the details, and you're going to go to the founders, the owners, or the managers, and say, okay, you guys have some decisions to make. We need you guys to make some decisions so we can implement some steps here.
Yeah, exactly. The things that the company that we work with are mainly have to do is just give us access to look at their current documentation, look at their system, the controls, the settings in their systems, to see where they are today. And then once we figure out what needs to be done, we show it to them, and they have to say yes, right? Because it's their systems. We can't just go in and change a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, let's not do that
and break everything. So we want to do as much as possible, and keep what the companies need at a minimum, to basically just saying, here you go, yes this, or yes this, or no yes this, and that's about it.
Okay.
We even represent them during the audit. So when it's time for the actual,
kind of like your accountant does, if you sign that thing on your taxes, said that my accountant can talk to the IRS for me, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're just gonna do as much of it as possible, and we think it could save about 50 to 60% of the overall work, maybe more, and also make the process a lot quicker. And if the company doesn't already have these skill sets, it's that's an added benefit of the fact that we already have the skill sets. We have the partnership with the DevSecOps company, so that way, if their software development pipeline is not already equipped with security, they can handle that. So we wanted it to be an all-inclusive solution, to where we don't have to point our clients in other directions. Like, we can handle it from a compliance, security perspective, no matter who they are. So if they're a small or medium-sized company, we think this is a really good option for them.
Awesome. So bottom line is, you're going to save them some time and money from trying to do this themselves. And at the end of the day, they're pretty certain the answers to those questions are going to be correct.
Yes. Yes, they're looking at us to have the right answers, not to be doing trial and error. And we have that. We also have, on the FedRAMP side, that one's even a little bit more complicated, because in some ways, security clearances, government security clearances come into play. And both my company has that, and Deploy 360, their company has that. They already have large government contracts, so we can help them probably even more on the government side, since there's a higher barrier to entry there.
All right. So how does everyone in our audience find you if they want to do SOC 2 with you or FedRAMP with you?
Yeah. So personally, I'm on LinkedIn every single day. You can look me up on my name, Michael Andrews. Last name's Andrews. Or you can find Yastis on LinkedIn, X, which is formerly known as Twitter, Instagram and Facebook by just searching for Yastis,
Mhm.
and it should come up with our blue logo. It's a blue Y. So,
Yep.
And please reach out anytime, just for a conversation or to hear more about the new SOC 2 or FedRAMP process.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Awesome.
It's always good to see you.
Awesome to talk to you, Jason.
right.
Have a good day.
You too.
Take care.
Come on in, Ben.
Brought back up.
That's good. We need it here. So,
Yep.
So how are things?
Very well. How
What
are you?
up to? How are you enjoying Tech Alley today?
Tech Alley is wonderful. I look forward to this event. Just like you, I go to a lot of things. I don't miss this whenever possible, and I enjoy it very much
Best
every month.
networking event in town, whether you are in tech, in the startup community, small business owner, entrepreneur in some other way, a business that supports entrepreneurs or tech, best networking event in town. I can't say enough good things about it. And today's the 3rd anniversary, which is super special. So,
Very nice.
yeah. So who we got here?
This is Nikki. We call him my Chief Chihuahua Officer,
Yeah,
which every business needs a Chief Chihuahua Officer.
I think
clearly,
so.
Clearly.
And so tell us about your business. Tell us what you're working on.
Well, my company is Hunter Marketing, and this month is our 11th anniversary,
Oh, wow.
or birthday as a company.
Congratulations.
We're a local marketing agency. We've helped hundreds of companies, mostly here in the Valley, but across the country. And then beyond that, we operate a couple of community resource sites. One of them is called Tech.Vegas, where we aggregate organizations. We have a directory. We have a calendar of events. It's free for people to join and free for them to list their own events on there. And we just want to help bring the community together.
And you have a couple others besides Tech.Vegas,
Yes.
right?
We have Network.Vegas, which is your conventions, your professional associations, your chamber events.
Yep.
And then Create.Vegas, which is focused on local performance and arts and culture.
So yeah, if you're in the Vegas area or going to be in the Vegas area, make sure you get signed up on all 3 of those sites. Get the mailing list for Tech.Vegas. What's the other? Create.Vegas?
Create.Vegas and Network.Vegas.
Network.Vegas. That's the one I couldn't remember. So
I like buying URLs.
Yeah, well, so they turn into gold eventually.
Eventually,
whether you use them or not. So what's coming up for Hunter Marketing? What are you trying? What big goals do you have for Network.Vegas, Tech.Vegas, Create.Vegas?
Well, right now, to support our projects, we're launching a podcast called Connect.Vegas.
Okay.
Just to keep it consistent. This is my 25th year in Las Vegas. My business partner, Autumn, is 3rd generation Las Vegas. We've both been blessed to have great relationships and to meet a lot of incredible people here in the Valley. So we want to have conversations, learn about their work, about their passions, and also about our shared love of our favorite city.
So what are some of your favorite events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks here in Vegas?
There are some incredible conventions. Actually, the Sphere has got to be listed there somewhere. I think we're all a little bit obsessed with the Sphere, whether we're driving around town or going to shows.
You kind of can't not be obsessed with the Sphere.
Mhm.
If you're traveling around Las Vegas in any way, shape, or form, you can see it from just about everywhere in town.
Mm-hmm. And then both chambers over the summer have some nice expos that are always very, very well attended. Both usually have, both by saying the Henderson Chamber and Vegas Chamber. They have different events that usually pull thousands of people. We also we work closely with the marketing associations in town. So the American Marketing Association and the Las Vegas Innovation Marketing Association. Both of those groups are very active, and I want to advocate for them as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for checking in with us today. If you meet anybody you think is cool and we should have on the stream, please send them on up to us. So it was good to see you again.
Thank you, and congratulations on all the work that you're doing.
Well, we're trying to do some good stuff, but it's this kind of stuff is what it's all about. Getting everybody here today in front of the cameras.
I love it.
All right, thanks, Ben. Lee, are you ready for us? Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. The camera seems to be holding up okay. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I mean, I saw you this morning, but it's been a while. Otherwise, it's been a few months. So
forever, huh?
So tell us about Las Vegas Youth Hour.
Oh gosh. So I've been a part of Tech Alley going on 2 years now, and it's going great. I have brought on Elias Benjalone with Nevada Partners, and he is my co-host. and we kind of take turns, figure out we both have very busy schedules.
Mhm.
And it's good. It's growing. It's at 2:45 p.m.
Yep.
Suite 145 every third Saturday.
Every
during
third
Tech
Saturday,
Alley.
Tech Alley, come down and see Lee Jackson and Elias at Las Vegas Tech Alley Youth Hour.
Yeah.
Who can we look forward to seeing today?
Well, it's going to be myself and I'm sorry, that's terrible, but we have pulled on volunteers today
Okay.
and talking about really mentorship
Okay. Cool.
and entrepreneurship. And what I like to do a lot of times is that we bring on guests as well that's from Tech Alley that wants to help us out in growing the entrepreneurship for our
Okay.
youth and be a mentor
So
to
it's gonna be a little
them.
bit of grab bag today,
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
mentorship,
yes.
and mentorship's really important. That's something
Yeah.
we talk a lot about on my podcast and in my
Yeah.
company, about not just looking for a mentor, because a lot of people are out there looking for a mentor, but
Yeah.
being a mentor is really the more important part of that, and being
Absolutely.
available. So
Yeah. School's out. I think I heard yesterday was the last day.
sounds right.
And then the pools are open today. So let's see how that goes
We'll
today.
see.
But we always have a great time because sometimes when we have guests that's not on the roster and it's a round table, we get to talk about it and kids are coming in and they're learning. We have youth that are between the ages of 10 and 22 that
Yeah.
actually come and sit there. And then we have the entrepreneurs to talk about their experiences and things like that.
Do you have a favorite story you've had, a favorite youth entrepreneur who's come through, or?
Oh my gosh. Actually last month, he's 10 years old.
Mhm.
And kids are so much smarter these days. He developed he's in coding. He takes coding.
Okay.
He's your not average student, right? He's above average and just very precocious and just wants to learn everything about tech. And he created a game already in class. And what he wanted to learn was how to launch his actual game.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
so
it
he's
was
got the
impressive.
tech piece down, and now
Yeah.
he's looking for that business help.
Yeah.
We need to get him into Kurt Walker's Who's Got My Money next month,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that class. So,
So
I want to talk about too a little bit about, what we look for, right? When
Yeah.
you become a mentor for the adults that are coming in.
Mhm.
We would love it that you have, previous mentorship and entrepreneurship background.
Okay.
Especially this is Tech Alley. We also, if you have a lot of tech background, we'd love for you to come and sit and talk about that and share that with the youth.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else does Lee Jackson have going on?
Funny you ask.
I know you always have something going on because I've known you for 5 or 6 years
I
now,
know, right?
and it's always and there's always something new.
So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur.
I know.
It's and I've been going to Kurt's class, so it's pretty good.
I mean, when we first met, you were on my show 5 or 6 years ago
I
because
know.
you were turning recycled bottles
Yes,
into t-shirts.
We still have Rethink. However, we're turning that into a tech world.
Okay.
We're created for the last 2 years. We've been working on an actual game,
Okay.
and it is food-based, food characters. And the social impact is that we're teaching the youth how to eat healthy. As we all know what's going on in this world, especially in the USA, all the bad foods and the ingredients that you see out there, we're going back to basics, right? We want to teach these kids about healthy foods, and we do it in a fun way through this game. It's a competitive game,
Okay.
and it is going to be app-based. And we're going to have the beta sometimes in late summer.
Okay.
And I'll be launching it here very soon.
Okay. Where can we find that when it comes out? Do you know yet?
Just think hashtag rethink gaming.
Okay. Hashtag rethink gaming. So you
Yeah.
you heard it here first, everybody. So wait a couple of months.
Yeah.
But that's where to go look. So.
Well, we do already have our Instagram open. So
Okay.
we just launched it. Just go to Meatball Lettuce Head on Instagram.
Meatball Lettuce Head on Instagram. That is not what I would have guessed. Not what I would have
You're
guessed.
gonna love it. Meatball versus lettuce head.
I'm not going to forget it. So
It's easy to remember. So check us out.
What
Give
else,
us a follow.
what else is Lee Jackson up to these days?
That's it.
That's
Really great partners.
you do.
I'm sales and marketing and communications, and I have some really, really great partners. And
awesome.
they're the
Well,
creative.
bring him next month. We'll put them on the live stream and we'll
Okay,
get their side of the
I
story.
will.
All right.
I
Thank
will.
you so much, Lee.
You're
It's great to
welcome.
see you.
Yes.
Have a great day.
You too.
Dave Berlin, get over here. Because I know you've got news. That's okay. You can put your sunglasses on the table. I might. This table has been strewn with all kinds of things this morning. Shout out some books. Well, shout out it all. So anyone who's watching, thank you for watching. I hope you're finding this informative. This is just some of the cast of characters you can find down here at Tech Alley every month. And we're really kind of, we're only scratching the surface of who's here. Like this is the folks that I kind of know and have been here month after month. There are a ton of fascinating people down here at Tech Alley. So if you are in Vegas, whether you come down today or you come down next month or another month, third Saturday of the month, come down to Tech Alley, meet these folks who are really making things happen in our tech community, our business community, and our veterans community. Let's talk about that. Welcome to the live stream, Dave Berlin.
What's up, man?
I'm
good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
So good. Better now.
Good. We've had a great day today. This is we've had some hiccups and it's been a great week overall.
Yeah.
We've had some hiccups and challenges, but we've learned a ton. It's gonna be getting better and better every month. I'm having so much fun doing this.
I dig it.
So
I dig it.
All right. Well, you have some news.
Tell Yeah. So before I say it, it's interesting to say I realized this year that it has been 10 years since I stepped foot on stage for the very first time ever in a public talk, and that was a TEDx talk. And when people ask me what I wanted to talk about, the only thing I cared about then is one of the main things I still care about now, and it's veteran transition, or what I've now learned to say, veteran expansion, right? So it's where you go from service to civilian life, and how do you be successful in that? So it's funny because 10 years after volunteering for different organizations, I'm excited that I have accepted the role as the program manager for Vets in Tech for entrepreneurship. So while Vets in Tech, as you know, as the chapter,
don't tell me, tell them.
Oh, as you may not know, Jason leads the chapter here in Las Vegas for Vets in Tech, and we have 3 pillars that ultimately are what make veterans successful: education, employment, and entrepreneurship. So while education and employment are the bread and butter of what they do, over 2,000 people every year, they get certified in some type of tech, coding, project management now.
Yep.
Lots of different opportunities for them to get better paying jobs out of the military. And then we match them with our partners for employment, like Google, Meta, Oracle, a lot of the big companies that are in San Francisco. But now part of the chapter initiative is to create partnerships for those.
Right, and that's
here in Las Vegas.
That's really my interest in the chapter is to build partners here. Like you see these big buildings behind me. Like build partners here who want to hire vets for tech roles and things that aren't necessarily Silicon Valley traditional tech roles. And then if you look the other way, which you guys can't see, is we have these 2 giant Air Force bases on the northeast and northwest side of the valley, and a couple hundred kids leave the Air Force every year from both of those bases. And I want to make sure we can get those kids, if they're interested in careers in tech, I don't want them to feel like they have to go to Silicon Valley, go to Seattle, or go to Austin, or go to New York. We want to be able to offer opportunities for them here in Las Vegas, keep them here in Las Vegas, because pulling it all back together, full circle ownership, those kids are going to be our future tech founders and CTOs of those tech startups that we build in our community here.
Well, yeah. And so where I know those are the 3 pillars, I've spent the last 8 years really focused on entrepreneurship.
Right.
And what's interesting about this new role as the program manager for entrepreneurship, it's stuff that they were already doing successfully. They kind of took the back seat because their primary focus after COVID has been education and employment. That's where most of our partnerships and workforce development come from. JP Morgan Chase wanted to really kickstart some more stuff on the entrepreneurship side. So the Veteran Startup Network has already existed. I get to do what I really feel is my biggest skill set, and that's building community around that. And now I get to go to some of my favorite cities in the world, mainly here in the United States, New York City, DC,
Austin.
Miami, Austin. I'm really excited about that.
Is Tampa on that list?
Tampa, I believe so.
Let's put Tampa on that list, and I'll go with you.
All right. There we go.
We'll go.
We can do whatever we want.
We'll go like in September. It's pretty great in September.
We can do whatever we want. Like I realized too that like we're driving the boat. The universe lets us, is letting us take it. So that's where we're going.
And
then
not only is the entrepreneurship pillar not in the back seat anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even just in the front seat. It's full gas pedal down.
Yeah.
You guys just did the first startup boot camp.
Yep.
With Vets in Tech Wednesday,
Yep.
right?
Wednesday,
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's a virtual event they do every year, and it's so great because all of this is I just came on board like 10 days ago, and like it all got to happen really fast. So the veteran startup boot camp. We had Steve Blank, the founder of Startup Communities. We had all these incredible people that are now, I realize, are in our network, and we have access to. I left it out. So the co-founders, Catherine Webster, who more people will know who Catherine is, I'm sure, but it's
more people
it's
should
also
know who Catherine is,
exactly.
and more people will in the future. Yes,
but it's also Craig,
yes.
aka, and I don't even remember. It's Craig Newmark.
Craig Newmark.
But he was the Craig from Craigslist.
Craigslist. It's that Craig.
Yeah. So there's a long history of what they've been able to accomplish. Now I'm really excited to get to accelerate that, and I'll say this, because it's just one of those things I'm putting out in the universe. When I had my full onboarding call with Catherine last week, she goes, Dave, kind of all of this, like, yes, there's all these little deliverables, there's things that you can do, but what's the one thing that a year from now, 2 years from now, that you can say that you did that makes you feel like this is, you're really doing your best work here? And I go, honestly, and I'm repping it today. I was like, I would love to see a chapter launched in Tulsa. I feel like Tulsa is one of the best kept secrets in the United States for what they're doing, not just in their ecosystem development, but there's really big changes where they've learned, just like Austin did, that you have all these other organizations that are happening. Everyone's working together, but now put them all under one roof.
That's the flywheel we're trying to get spinning in Vegas. Like you said, Tulsa's a really well kept secret, but put it in context.
Yeah.
Put it in context for the amount of money that is going into the Tulsa ecosystem versus here in Las Vegas.
Well, I'll frame it up first, only because one of the big things that happened back in 2020 when Elon Musk was looking where the next Tesla plant was going to go, it was actually one of my mentors who was really influential in, I say he got like everyone in Oklahoma jumping up and down at the same time on Twitter, and they were all hitting Elon Musk with come to Tulsa, come to Tulsa. They created this whole campaign. What was brilliant is, even though it got down to the wire between Tulsa and Austin, even though he went with Austin because he was even looking at Tulsa, now there's like 200 tech companies that have moved to Tulsa. Because once you look under the hood, it's like, oh, wow, it's a thriving food scene, music, all of these different things.
It's
all
everybody jumping up and down at the same time.
Exactly. And then so you have all that momentum. So when you talk about the metrics, these are all things that investors are looking at in a community. And again, I just love being real. They're a lot further ahead than Las Vegas, and it's measured by how much money have they dumped back into the economy. So through all of these, there's about 4 or 5 core organizations, the Lobeck Taylor Foundation, George Kaiser Family Foundation, 36 Degrees North, all these programs, they've all done stuff together over the last 8 years. That's resulted in $1 billion of revenue through entrepreneurship innovation. So now when you say that, well, now investors are looking at that. So those metrics that you're talking about, some of those organizations, roughly about $800 million are being pumped into Tulsa.
And it can be done, and that's my point. It's not to dig on Vegas or let's pump up Tulsa. I love,
but it's
up
funny
cities,
too that's the
it can be done. We just all have to get pulling in the same direction, right?
And that's funny that we know it can be done, and it's funny, $800 million is the exact same amount of money that they're just pouring into bringing the Rio back to life. And it's like, okay, cool, but can that same level of effort be injected into the community only to be producing well over $1 billion? I believe it can. And that's why it's really important that we start working together. So my mission and alignment with everything that I always do comes back to that crux of, I just want to connect the people of our city, show the world who we really are. Right. And I don't think that it's my responsibility.
Say that.
I don't think it's my responsibility to change the world anymore. But I do believe that together we can change the way that the world looks at Las Vegas. And that's a pretty decent start.
And we're gonna have a really good time doing it and look really good doing it. All right, let's talk about these books you brought. I see one of my very favorite books is at the bottom, so we'll get to that one last. So tell us about your books.
So it's funny. I live in this apartment complex, and yesterday the pool opened for the first time in like 2.5 years. I've been waiting for this, but it was really cool because there was this amazing woman sitting off over in one of the cabanas. And it's so funny because I walked by, and as soon as I walked by, I just glanced back, and I told my friend, I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure that lady's reading The Go-Giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can see a book cover from a mile away, and I know what it is. So the whole reason why I take books everywhere is I feel like there's all these things that people can see about us.
Mm-hmm.
I always use the sports analogy, right? Everybody here in Vegas is a big BGK fan.
Mm-hmm. Go
all the way, no matter what, win or lose. But it's funny because like if we're in a different city, like if I was in New York and I had a Golden Knights jersey on, and somebody else had a Golden Knights jersey on, like I would want to talk to them because we have something in common. We can see that. And then here's the other part: like if you were wearing a Chicago Blackhawks shirt, it's not that I hate you, but I'm probably not even going to interact at all. It's just you walk by and it's like,
yeah, it's the Hawks. Why give them any thought
exactly.
at all?
So the powerful thing about that is you never know what books are on people's shelves.
Yep.
So this is just a fun way of doing that. Like,
all right, lightning round.
Yeah.
Biggest lesson from The Alchemist.
Oh man, the biggest lesson from The Alchemist, I would say, is that we're in charge. We're driving the boat. As long as we know what our true purpose is, then it all starts to happen for us.
Outstanding. The way forward, which I have not read. Biggest lesson from The Way Forward.
Biggest way forward is we're all capable of leaning into love and healing.
Excellent.
Oh.
Good job. Rick Rubin.
That's a dope
Creative
one.
Act.
Man, I'm back on the second time for that.
Yeah, this is a good
Rick
one.
Rubin.
Biggest lesson from Rick Rubin, The Creative Act. This is literally my favorite book of the last 18 months.
Yeah, I would say that I think there's, what is it? The universe is going to keep producing all of these ideas. It's our responsibility to take them and bring them to life. We're not always going to be responsible for taking them to hang up in somebody's house after they purchased it from the art gallery. Sometimes we just got to get the canvas ready for the next person.
Yeah, my biggest lesson from this one was it's the permission.
Yeah.
Go create. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be for anybody else. It's for you.
It just has to be yours.
It just has to be yours. Go create. Just create. And you, Rick Rubin, who I didn't know really much about Rick Rubin other than like the Beastie Boys and Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff until a couple of years ago. He's a hero of mine now. I listen to Broken Record podcast. He hasn't hosted a lot of those recently, but I'm obsessed with Rick Rubin. And in this book, and it's a great book because like every chapter is like 2 pages or 3 pages. It's not just even giving you permission to go create and mess things up, and it's kind of ordering you and telling you you're responsible. Go create things. So that's great. Okay. I know reading is important to you. You want to talk about your book club?
Yeah. You know a little bit about that.
I do because I'm a member.
Yeah.
I think I'm a charter member of your book club. But yeah, tell us about your book club and how people can get signed up.
So yeah, I found out that a lot of times people are craving community. Reading books is great. Like so many times we can read a book, we can listen to a book, and we'll put stuff into action. There's a power in having a paid book club group. So I started the Y Networking Network, and it's really just an opportunity to get people together that all have one thing in common, and that they're in some type of business or they work for an organization, and they're passionate about reading books. Whether they're passionate about it in their personal life or whether books are like a whole core value, a part of that organization. I feel like that's just the easiest currency to connect with some of the most remarkable people on the planet. So reading those books together and trying to bring in some of my favorite authors and stuff like that to speak and do Q&A is something that I look forward to growing. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can go to davemeansbusiness.com. It's one of the links there, the Y Networking Network.
I'll vouch for it. And Y Networking is an appropriate name for it because some we do this at 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So if you're an East Coaster and you want to take a break from work at about 9 a.m., this is a great thing to join us at. But yeah, sometimes it's about the book. and it's the book and the chapters are always underlying what we're talking about. That's kind of how we kick off. But sometimes we just do a bunch of networking and go, I need to introduce you to this person. I need to introduce you to this person. I am so backed up on the intros I've been given out of that group. I am still like working through, like there's still 3 or 4 I have to follow up on. So I highly recommend it. We're wrapping up a book right now.
Yep.
We're going to be announcing a new book in a week or 2.
Yep.
So
yeah, we're finishing up Becoming Supernatural, which has been fascinating. And then, I'm feeling called to bring back an oldie but goodie, or at least dig in on one of my favorite authors, one of his newer books.
Okay.
So yeah,
okay.
So
stay tuned. We won't have answers for you yet. So you're going to have to go to davemeansbusiness.com and get signed up for Y Networking, or at least reach out to Dave and
speed dial 4.
And as it gets closer, find out what the book we're going to do is. All right. What else do you have going on? What else should we know about Dave Berlin right now?
Oh man. Well, I guess maybe it's an appropriate time. I've always been really big on changing it up. Right. Last year, I took a big step back. I stopped doing something that I've done for 15 years, and that's weddings.
Although some people haven't gotten the memo yet.
Yeah, some people have not. But yeah, I've been DJing weddings for the last 15 years. I've done 650 all over the U.S.
Front seat to love.
Yeah, front seat to love every weekend. I stopped, so I cut way back in November. I've only done 5 this year, and those were ones that I had on the books, and like I'm pretty much done with those. But then where do you go? Like music is something that I'm still so passionate about, but I also needed to set a really big, hairy, audacious goal, because that's when the most interesting things in life start to happen. So I had somebody ask, I went empty nest earlier last year, and somebody's like, what are you going to do now? Do whatever I want. And so I got this crazy idea, and now it's just manifested into this whole thing. I want to be an entertainer on Virgin Voyages. So I want to hit the open seas with probably one of the coolest companies on the planet. My favorite thing is working with like the coolest companies in the world, like Marine Corps, right? Zappos, all these different cool companies. Being a part of something like that would be really remarkable. But I would also get to live on a boat, get paid, and DJ. And just elevate a different level of consciousness.
Well, Richard Branson, if you're watching, if you're not Richard Branson and you work for Virgin Cruise Lines,
I need to talk to that guy.
Did we? We lost it. Camera overheated.
I saw it. It's all good.
That's okay. It lasted way longer than I thought it was gonna. I thought we were gonna get about 15 minutes out of it top. So that's it. We'll call it a day. That was great. Thanks for taking us out, Dave. This couldn't have gone better. This even though we had some hiccups and we were learning our setup and all that kind of stuff, I'm really pleased with what we got to do before the announcements. I'm really pleased with what we got to do, the last hour or so. Because we've gone, almost an hour. Not quite an hour. Go ahead and click stop on that. Oh yeah, we're still